Ed, wanna start? Roll call.
Ed Ryan present.
Linda Suski present.
Alice Real present. The first order of business is to elect a new chair. I nominate Ed Ryan for that position. Does anybody
Second.
have anything all those in favor? Aye. Okay, Ed, take over.
Okay, thank you for that
Your confidence, our confidence in.
very confidence. I will greatly depend on you to keep me on task and using meeting protocol. It's not necessarily one of
Okay.
my strong points.
Okay.
But I think we should start with the agenda
Great.
and decide if we're going to approve the minutes of the June 2nd meeting, which we have in front of us. If everybody's had an opportunity, we could allow some time to look through that, unless people have had a chance to review it.
Question I have, I
previously.
wasn't at the meeting.
You
Normally,
can't,
I
you
need
can't vote
to
on it.
abstain, which means you
so
don't.
we cannot approve the minutes.
Okay.
Correct,
So without-
Kathy?
That's correct.
No, without a quorum of those people
We
who
have
were
to.
at the meeting, we
Right.
cannot approve the minutes. We'll have to table them till next.
Okay, so our decision is to table the June 2nd.
Right.
City of Newcastle Tree Advisory Commission minutes until the August Tree Advisory Commission meeting.
We need a motion and a second.
Is there a motion to table the minutes?
I make a motion to table the minutes.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll table the minutes for June meeting until August. Next, we move into old business. The applications that, first application is number 2024-09, which was, I believe, initiated by Patty O'Brien, who lives next door to the residence. The tree isn't actually on anybody's property. It's on the corner of, I should say it's not.
I don't see any evidence that it said anything other than a little overgrown on her property, right? I mean, she's not making any statement that it's interfering with anything, right?
Well, it's pretty intrusive on the neighbor, her neighbor, which is on the end of the row of houses that are connected on West Sixth at Tremont
Intrusive
Street.
in what way?
It's hanging over their roof and
Wouldn't
touching
that
the
be,
dormer.
wouldn't that be a pruning thing rather than a removal?
Yeah, it would be pruned. So it does say remove and replace, but
It does.
but I talked to her and she said that ideally she would like to see it removed because the branches fall on cars and on the street, causes a lot of cleanup. But they would also be amenable to having the tree, that one particular branch trimmed away from the house.
Well,
And this goes back a year,
no,
actually more than that, to April of 24.
so she's just resubmitting the application
Right.
that presumably.
Yeah, she brought it up. In fact, she was here at the June meeting.
I know
It
she
wasn't
wanted to
on-
get on the Sixth Street removals.
Right.
Yeah.
Street. And then in July, it didn't make the agenda again. I'm sorry, in June. She was here in May with more. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, I said good morning. Part of my confusion.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's the lights. And
The lights.
Um,
So somehow it got overlooked in 24.
well, I would make a motion that we approve the pruning of the tree, particularly for that branch that is going over to the property. Rather than the removal.
In particular, it's this branch right here.
Right.
It's up kind of high and no, I think with that, it kind of makes the tree doesn't look unhealthy. It doesn't look to be a hazard,
Now, she does say that
but it
it's,
does encroach on the property.
the tree continues to drop branches causing car damage. But, we're not specifying what's to be pruned. We're just saying that it be.
What is it?
We're just specifying that it be pruned. We're
Yeah.
not specifying which branches get
Right,
removed.
yeah. It may be that the branches that are falling are from a dead branch or something. It can be put away. I hesitate to say, let's remove that tree, because I don't think there's any real reason to. So I would make a motion to, approve a pruning of the tree at Sixth Street.
40 West Sixth Street.
Yeah.
Number 40 West Sixth
Okay.
Street.
I have to have a
Comment?
second.
Yes, and I don't know if we need a second before.
Well, I was gonna ask if somebody wanted to second the,
I'll second it, but then I have a question for discussion. It would help me to know what was the action back in 2024,
We didn't have any,
but then it was tabled,
must have been,
and why was it tabled?
I don't know.
I'm not sure that it ever came in front of the commission.
See, this
I
is
think
what
it got-
happens,
I
though.
think it
Some of
got-
these
it
have
didn't make it.
slipped through the cracks. And
Okay,
that's why I have here, put in a discussion of organization for record keeping, and that's why Ron has been talking about it in his emails.
okay,
So
okay,
we need to be really much better than that. But Patty was here a couple of meetings ago, and she was trying, as I say, become part of the Sixth Street, problem, but I don't think that really works. That's just my opinion.
And it wasn't on the agenda,
Right,
so we couldn't discuss it.
right.
okay,
And then it took a couple months to get on there. So it's been seconded
Right.
to prune the branch that extends over the dormer, to the dormer,
and I would just say,
over the house.
because
Just,
if there are other branches that are dropping.
Just to prune the tree appropriately.
Appropriately.
yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we want to add that to a list of trees to be pruned at 40 West Sixth Street. Application number 2024-09. Number two, an old business is application 2024-19. Gregory Brown, pruning request on Dalby Alley.
Well, I can speak to this. The
Okay.
tree was found to be on trustee property. So it is not something that we have jurisdiction over. So we should not approve the request. And I believe it's actually been pruned in any case. It's been a while, so it's a friend
I
of mine.
wonder why it's back on the agenda though,
I don't have any idea.
as old business,
It
so it
must have
doesn't
been
appear to
something
have
that
been.
wasn't exactly given an answer. But anyway, I move that we, what did
Deny.
we do? Turn down the
You
request,
deny.
deny the
Deny the
request for
request.
pruning.
And could we say it's denied because it is on trustee property?
Right, yeah, yes.
And that's the action that we took previously.
Seems
Okay.
like it. So second, and
I second the decision to decline or deny the request.
so we have to vote
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, let me speak to the next three. As you know, I wrote to the council, I wrote to Antonina and to Suzanne about the Sixth Street. And we specifically asked that the council address this question. The council is apparently not going to address the question directly. However, in the budget that they just approved, they have indicated it's either between $8,000 or $10,000 allocated to cost of removal of the trees. So it's not an approval of the removal, but it's a tacit approval of the removal because they have allocated funds toward the removal of those trees. So I asked Suzanne if they have approved the removal, and this was her response. Let me tell you what it was. Council didn't vote on what trees to remove. As far as I can recall, council has never made decisions on whether to plant or remove. The TAC does that. If you don't think we've allocated enough money to cover all the work, we'll have to see if there are any adjustments we could make in the budget. Now, I also asked for a breakdown of how much goes to the Antonio's work and how much is directly to us and how much to the beautification committee. However, Antonina was not in today, and I didn't ask quickly enough, so I won't have the answer to that. That's why I say between 8 and 10, because last year we had $32,000 in our budget. This year we have 40,000 in our budget. So it's either the 8,000 difference or 10,000 of that. Maybe we didn't spend it all last year. But anyway,
40,
So-
did you say it was 40,000?
our budget is 40,000, yes. Last year was 32,000. Now, at that time, we thought the 32,000 was ours. It wasn't, because a lot of it was Antonio's for the landscaping work that he did. And I have to find out exactly how much was accounted for through the year of last year, you know, what the contract with Antonio involves. But, and as soon as I get that, then I'll be able to give you a better idea of what our own budget is for the next year. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there was an email from Antonina saying that when we chose a chairperson, that she would want to meet with them.
Yeah, but that was about the budget, and the budget is over. So it's kind of, I'm perfectly willing for you to take over that discussion if you want to do that.
Well,
But
it sounds like if we speak to her, then maybe we can get some conclusion on or closure on how much of our budget is being
Really
allocated.
ours.
yes,
Yeah,
that's what I was
okay.
saying. Yeah, that's what I asked her.
So maybe just asking the question, or if she does want to meet with the commission, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay,
because
I
can-
absolutely do, but I do think, Ed, when she was referring to when you get a chairman, I think she was talking about a discussion of what to put in the budget. And that was at the beginning of June. Unfortunately, the budget was concluded and the budget starts July 1st. So it won't be a matter of what to put in the budget.
It's
It will be a
matter of
discussion of what is.
the allocation.
I talked to one member of city council
Mhm.
who said that line for 40,000, there actually are sub breakdowns between what's going to
Yeah.
Antonio's lawn service and what is for the tree
Yeah.
commission. And I think that's what Antonio can
Right.
also provide
Yeah.
clarification.
It's not in the budget document itself, as I looked at that. So we need some clarification of what that involves. And that was one of the things that we asked for, some clarification within the budget. And, take Antonio's out of there, so we have a better idea of what we have. But apparently it was technically a little more difficult than she wanted. So, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those subcategories of what is involved. So that will, I don't know if we want to address the removal of the trees here, but my feeling is, let's just bite the bullet and say we're approving the removal of those trees. So I'm going to move that we approve the removal of the trees at 37 West 6th, 16 West 6th, and 110 West 6th. Sorry.
You certainly changed your mind.
I have, because I feel like it's an insolvable problem and it needs to be addressed. And we can't just, it's been going on forever and these people have been constantly begging. And I think that eventually we will have to do it.
Mhm.
We might as well do it now, when we have money, when they allocated in the budget.
I also, you weren't copied on an email that I sent to these guys today. I went through the city code and it says that a tree that is endangering or may endanger the security or usefulness of any public street, sewer, or sidewalk may be called a public nuisance, and a public nuisance tree may be removed at the discretion of the city. So,
So we have the authority within the code
yeah,
to address this.
To make a recommendation.
right.
Right, ours is always a recommendation,
Right.
but, so I move that we approve the applications for the removals of the trees.
Second.
Ed?
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm about to say all in favor, but I'm not certain what my position is. When you mentioned Mr. Del Coglin's letter, that he was told by municipal services that he needs to contact Delmarva. Was that correct?
Yeah, I don't understand why.
I
Maybe you know,
never
Norm,
received-
why they would.
Received the letter.
She said, The municipal services came out last week to resolve the issue with the city's wiring, but told us we had to contact Delmarva regarding other wires that were causing an issue. So MSC cannot remove a tree from a wire that isn't their own? Is that the problem? Do you know that? You've never heard
No
of that?
idea.
I
I've
mean,
never heard that before.
Delmarva, I would guess owns the poles and certainly the upper wires. So they have the final say, but
Delmarva owns the poles?
Yeah, utility poles, I think I've heard
yeah, they do.
that.
You hit one, you pay to replace it.
Well, let me just say what else has happened in the last month. I got a guy from Bartlett to come out, take a look at the trees. And number one, and I'm sure you know this, Norm, you have to get 10 feet away from the wires before they will even begin to look at the tree to cut it down. They won't do anything having to do with wires, right? But anyway, this is what he says. You have to go in there, MSC would have to clear the trees 10 feet away from the wires, and then they would come in to cut down the trees. And he said it would be about $3,500 per tree. But he did say that they are one of the most expensive ones, and then you could do it for less with another company, but they might not have the expertise, the experience that Bartlett has. But on the other hand, I mean, what's a guy from Bartlett gonna say? We're the best, we're worth it. So it's possible that a 10,000 would take care of the 4 trees. But as Suzanne just said, if we need more money, we can ask without taking it directly from our own budget. And now I understand the reluctance. I've been on the side of reluctance for the whole time, but like I said, I feel like this is going to eventually happen. And I think we should give these people some relief. Now, it may be that, and I also at the same time, I went around to other trees, I took pictures of them to see how many trees are affecting the sidewalks. I don't know how many are affecting the, sewer system, the drainage or anything, but I can tell you there are quite a few that are buckling the sidewalks. So it's possible we'll have other applications. But if we take as long doing those as we did these, it'll be a few years before we actually have to make any decision. I just think, considering that the city council has given us tacit approval for this through their budget process.
Do you think that's their approval?
They're not
They
gonna
don't want to
approve-
make the decision, but they are willing to
They're willing to pay,
allocate the money.
right, yes.
Now, there were the.
I think that
remember the-
it's implicit in that is that there is a need,
I haven't said a lot because I think this came up maybe at my very first meeting, and there have been conversations before it, so I've been getting up to speed on it. One of the things that there are multiple applications, and I know that one application came in, the Clenness came in with documentation, including an actual segment of the tree root. Others did not provide that. And again, now that I've looked at the code, it says street trees are removed only when it's determined by the city or on the basis of a tree report prepared by a consulting arborist that a tree should be removed because it's dead, hazardous, or a public nuisance. And I noticed in the app that this is a big deal. We've all been grieving this possibility. And for some of these, I wish there was more, some kind of expertise that a report from
Well,
an
what-
arborist or an
at
engineer
least that's,
saying absolutely the damage is being.
at least the Del Cogsons have a
Right,
bill and the
yes.
Clenness have a bill. I don't know about the people from 110. I mean,
The bill is just for the work done. It's,
what it shows is the work is that from the
Mhm.
tree invading their sewer system.
right.
So, yeah, I don't think they would have gone through this whole process unless there was it's, for instance, the Clenness always always said that one of the reasons they bought the property was because of the trees.
Right, I remember that.
But then they, they just spent an enormous amount of money trying to avoid, trying to repair damage. So, but I'm making the motion. So,
Can I ask you, did Suzanne mention anything about Mr. Plant being at the council meeting and speaking on the
Yes.
subject?
Yeah.
They heard that side of the,
yes, they did.
of the issue,
Uh-huh.
that residents didn't want the trees removed, some residents,
Well, yes,
and they still allocated money for it.
yes.
Okay.
Another question that I'm not clear about, I know that Art was trying to research with the state, because it's a state highway. And there was an agreement like from 1910 that said the trees were our responsibility, but that was 100 years ago. And was there any superseding agreement? Did anybody find that research get completed? That's one loose end that I'm concerned about.
Well,
I would say that has not been determined in any official way, who's, if Del Dot might be responsible.
Well,
I don't think that,
I don't believe that Del is responsible, but however, I do think that we should probably find out if there's any written agreement, just to be sure. So I amend my my motion. I move that we approve pending research that says we have the city has the authority to take down those trees.
is there a second
second,
to that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
sadly,
Yeah. Let's see. How might we accomplish that? Finding out.
Yeah,
if
I thought they were here.
if
That was
there's
for all
agreement.
three of those.
Yes.
I'm really not certain how to approach that, how to determine whether that's.
Well,
if
I'll
there's any-
do the
any
research.
Outside party.
I'll do the research. I'll talk to Antonina about it, see if there's anything in our files and, with Del Dot, that indicates that, there's an agreement between us. But my guess is it's just, an agreement. It says you shall provide maintenance, and that's probably the end of it, but I'll look into it.
Okay.
But,
What about notifying the
so give me
applicants?
a couple weeks
We hold
to,
off on that also.
well, no, I think we should notify them, but say we're pending, we're researching to be sure that we actually have the authority to do that. Okay? Yeah.
just to, I'm learning now, since we're only making recommendations, is it tax place to notify homeowners of, they're not decisions, we can notify them of our recommendation, and that may be a good
Well,
idea.
They would be here if they were here, so then they would know what our decision was, so I don't think there's any problem
Okay.
with notifying them.
Okay,
Would you
I'm
do that,
also-
Ed, or?
I will, yeah, I've done that on a couple of, on some applications in the past, notified people that that's been approved or denied and why. So, yes, I'll contact.
Now, having said all this, I think we should, in the next couple of months, look at how we refurbish that street to make it as beautiful as it can be, with replacing the trees with trees, substantial trees. And, I know they'll have to be smaller because they're too expensive, but, I don't wanna leave this kind of denuded or anything. I want it to be, with a plan to have it beautiful in the future, even if it's not in our lifetimes.
You have other problems on that street.
Huh?
You have other problems on that street. You've lost 2 trees that were recently planted for unknown reasons.
New trees
Yep.
that we just planted? And so Ron thinks that's some kind of sabotage? Does he, or I got the impression he thought they had been murdered.
Well, we don't, without tests, you'll never know. But there was no good reason for him to die that quickly.
How do
It
we-
was overnight.
Can we test that, can we test that, ground there? I mean, who would do that?
You'd have to take soil samples and send it off to a specialized lab.
And after all the rain and.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like the one on your street, there's probably no evidence anymore.
Yeah,
So when the first of the two that Norman's referring to was recognized, there was an effort to dig down around the tree to see if there was any evidence, odor, visual evidence. There was none. And then within days, second tree, identical tree, same species, same age, same planting date. And these are trees that are not in tree pits. They're not restricted by nearby, I mean, they're in a grass strip. Presumably, they're getting plenty of space,
the grass is not poisoned, right?
plenty of water. No evidence that the grass was
The
killed.
grass was fine. And it was good soil.
So somebody did that.
I think, at least in my opinion, you leave that section of Sixth Street alone in your immediate planning plans.
Okay,
As far as.
but we can plan them, right? We can plan it for what it will be.
I think you're gonna wind up cutting a whole bunch of trees. If you're using the city code nuisance, the sidewalk. I've looked at those trees with Ed, I've looked at them with Ron. Every single one's messing up something.
Yeah, it is, you're right.
So I think you're doing a precedent and eventually all of them are gonna come down.
I know. It's very distressing, but
Norm, I have a question for you. When a tree root is buckling a sidewalk or bricks, is it possible to take out that root? I mean, I know it's risky.
Yes and no, I mean. And I don't know the street, but there's a side street there where apparently there was problems. Where the funeral home is,
Yeah,
they moved the sidewalk, went around the tree. And on Delaware Street, between Fourth and Third, you can actually see where the granite curve around the tree.
right.
So, I mean, things were done to save the trees. I'm gonna say that in this case, those trees are so big and old that there's really nothing you can do.
somebody was telling me a story about a tree that was messing with the sidewalks in front of Emmanuel. And they shaved off the root. You know, are you familiar with this story? No?
You're grinding it down, but it's not helping the tree.
No.
Yeah, the phrase that's in the city code is root prune street tree.
But those sycamores are in a 3-foot strip with a curb and a sidewalk. And they're 2 foot plus diameter. I mean, those roots go, so I don't think there's anything you can do to.
Yeah, you're taking the root right off the side of the tree.
Yeah, you
right?
just-
It's not like you're taking them over.
Yeah, and so it's living off of that, and then
Yeah.
you're just weakening the tree, but
Yeah,
I think you're gonna have. There's a lot of neighbors, at the one meeting, there was multiple people from down the street who loved the trees and bought the houses there and are opposed to it. And the one guy even said, I looked at that house 20 years ago and there was just water in the basement then. That's why I didn't buy it. It's an ongoing problem in city council. You kicked it up to the city council. city council just kicked it back to you.
Yep,
There's still no resolution. It's gonna be on, they're putting it on your head. We'll give you the money, but they have to hate you, not us.
yeah, I know.
But we can only make a recommendation. Who's the person who's going to say, we're not taking this?
No, it's us.
I mean, that could-
They say recommendation, but it's really. I don't think they're gonna, you know, we don't make a recommendation to anybody but the council, and council already said it's up to you.
It's gonna be the city, it's gonna be Antonina's.
It's gonna be Antonina.
Yeah.
Recommendation to her.
Who has to get bids, find contractors.
He has to, contract somebody to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they,
but like I said, I think that the allocation of the funds is kind of gives you the idea that they're gonna okay it. I don't know. Well, we already did that. Let's go on.
okay, so, but we're gonna do a little more research as to.
Yes,
the
it's to any
agreement
agreement.
with Del Dot.
Yeah, I'll look into it, yeah.
Okay, so that takes us through the old business.
Really easy way to research it would be for the city to write to Del Dot and say, our tree commission has recommended that these trees be removed. It's on a city highway. Please take care of this. And if Del Dot says they don't have the authority, then
Yeah,
they'll do the research.
there you go. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, sounds good. So Alice, you'll kind of take
I'll
that,
look into that, yeah.
that comment to the city administrator.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Let's move on from the business of the other two trees that Norman brought up, that the new trees that may have been tampered with. And we'll move to the new business for the July meeting. And there are 6 new applications, 2025-16 through 2025-21. And the first one, 2025-16,
It should be 315, not.
yeah, the address is
515.
incorrect. So there is no 513 Harmony Street. It's 315 Harmony Street on the corner of Third and actually it's closer to the corner of Fourth and Harmony.
Great.
Pictures in the packet. White framed house and let's see here.
It doesn't look like it's a big problem. It looks like a pruning could be really
Okay.
quick and easy.
Mhm.
Because it's just she's complaining about it hitting the house, which you can see it is, and I went by and it is hitting the house, so.
It was on the house. Yeah, because of the address error, I didn't see it.
I move approval of the request.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. So application 2025-16, we have approved for pruning. To the extent that it infringes on the house.
Yes,
Okay. Next is application 2025-17, number 59, Strand planting request. This kind of confuses me a little bit because I went to the location and
59 is a house, and this is something totally different. Is that the address of the person who requested it?
well, yeah, and that's where the tree is. It's right in front of that house.
It says to me 59 Strand.
I think, let's see. They're requesting one tree. Wait a second. Request one tree on site of New Delaware native.
Is this city
Oh, wait a
property
second.
or is this trustee property?
Something else. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he says it's a city lot, but I'm wondering. I don't remember hearing.
You know, Bull
anything
Hill
about
is
fountain
is
being-
trustee's property, right?
This is at the end of Harmony, and this was completely overgrown for as long as we've lived here, and somebody got it cleared out.
I drove by and I saw a house 59, I said, where are we talking about?
There's a tree in front of the house that's. Looks like it needs some. Well,
Is that
that's not
is that
issue.
the old John Coughlin property?
It is
there?
Congress,
Right.
yeah.
To the right
Congress.
of
The right, yes.
Correct.
Oh, wow, good for him. That was really,
I think
Really
I do
messy.
recall, this gentleman, Mr. Lorenz, got permission from the city to clean that area, clean
wow.
this area out.
This is definitely city property?
Yeah, I would say.
Well. Do we know for sure?
Okay, wait, that, they, uh.
Mr. Draper, do you know this area? It's the dead end to the river on Harmony Street. I can't believe that's.
I know the Public Works cleaned it out, so
Okay, then it's.
I
probably-
would think that would be city property, but
Yeah, thank you. I would agree.
I don't know if they're continuing to do that or is the grass cutting crew doing it.
Do you know anything about where the fountain and the bench came from?
They're his,
So he's donating them to city property.
as far as I know.
Yeah, I remember seeing something or hearing something that he got permission from the city to clean that
Okay.
area up and to make some, make these changes that appear in the picture. So his request for a tree to be planted there. Right?
Okay, I just want to just take a look at the parcel.
Something from the recommended tree list.
Nothing much.
My feeling would be that we put that on a list of, trees to be planted in the future as they
I
become
think it's good to
available.
do this on the phone.
It's okay. I think we've established that it's,
The future is the key word.
yeah,
In the future. Yeah, I don't think we can give a date and say that would be this fall or even this spring of 26 necessarily even, but certainly can be put on a list. The number of requests seems to be growing with the
It is, but
appearance of new trees.
this has happened before where and it's been approved. But it hasn't happened yet because it's in those records and.
Well, we have to have the funding for it,
Right,
and we can only plant so many trees per year.
right.
You know,
So
what I was
it's kind of
gonna
a
say,
a
it
list
doesn't
of
seem like it would
priority.
be a real priority for us, right, this planting?
yeah.
I would agree.
So we could approve it, but
We could also make a recommendation that he purchase the tree himself. That we would make perhaps, approve that if he chose a tree from the tree list.
maybe we could let him know he's allowed to, but it would be quite a while before a tree, so if he would like to do that, he should let us know so we could approve a tree, right? We have to approve a tree, right?
Yeah, I think he would have to let us know that it was a tree on the list.
Yeah,
And this goes back to something that I mentioned in the form here, that when people apply for tree work, it's only to request a permit, and the assumption is it's a permit to do the work myself.
yeah, I don't think,
And-
I don't.
And there's nothing that's that's labeled a planting request or requesting.
I
the
think
city.
generally, we don't give permits. I mean, that's very unusual, when you say, Ed, that
But you can, it's in the code that people
Is
can
it?
apply for a permit to do the work themselves, but then they have to, say who the arborist will be or do it under Ron's supervision.
They can't do it on their own. If
Um,
it's a tree that
Are we talking about pruning or?
no, this would be
planting?
planting.
okay.
I think
I-
Linda was talking about planting.
Yeah, uh, property owners must have a city tree permit to plant, remove, prune branches of, or root prune street trees. The property owner must have the tree permit before the work begins. The work must be done by either a certified arborist or other qualified and insured contractor approved and licensed by the city, or under the supervision of a tree commission member or city employee. So, I was thinking about this also when the Beals asked to have a tree trimmed in front of their house that was just for aesthetic purposes.
yeah,
And we said, actually, they should have submitted a request to do the pruning themselves, say who was going to be doing it.
yeah.
So
I
if,
think this is honored in the breach mostly. But,
I'm sorry, I read the code. so
No, no,
I'm
no.
gonna create, I
Stop
was going
that.
through this and I said, I'm so sorry, I joined the tree commission, I'm gonna create
No,
all
we-
these
We were
problems.
handed the code months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody was supposed to read it.
yeah, we
I'm
were.
glad you did. I did.
So yeah, there's a difference between a planning request and a
But-
planning.
And they're
permit.
asking for a planning permit. Is that
Well,
right?
there's no place for a planning request. That's the problem with the application form. Is, because yes, if you put in.
So there's no request, there's just data, okay, planning
Right.
permit, okay. all right.
And yeah, my understanding is if you put in a request for a planning permit to do it yourself, obviously it'll be done a lot faster, because you can do
But
it.
it also has to be one of the recommended trees.
Yes,
So has anybody seen a form? Is there, I wonder if there's an existing permit?
this is
To
it.
get rid
but
of
it-
this form,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
This form is really old. We have a new form, it just doesn't show up on the website for some reason. Well. Should we, make a motion to, approve the planting of a new tree with the idea that it will be, there could be quite a length of time before such tree would be available because it'd be back in the list and if he wishes to do it himself, he should contact us for further instructions. How's that as a motion?
Yeah, so then we're gonna have to distinguish between, is it a tree that we want to allocate the funds for? Do we want to take charge of it versus allowing a permit, allowing an individual to have a permit to do it themselves under the supervision of a tree commission member or.
Well, the idea is
city
that
employee.
we don't have a lot of funds, so that we have a lot of people of trees on our list already. And so this would not, it would have to go to the back of the list, that if that's the case, he may want to plant it soon. That was the only thing I was thinking of. There was kind of a, if he's already done that and he wants a tree, he probably would be, plus he owns John Cochran property, he's probably got a little money. Don't put that in the news.
So I would say we don't.
On record.
We don't approve his request for planting, but we could approve a planting permit. He met the criteria for doing it himself. Is that?
yeah, I think we,
No,
we
we're
could
not
say
gonna put
we,
it on
we,
the list.
we approve a permit for him to plant a tree
And
at
a
his
tree,
own
and a commission approved tree.
right,
At his
subject-
expense.
at his expense, subject to consultation with us.
And
From the tree
maintains
list.
that tree,
Pardon me?
maintains it, has to water it. Because that's the problem.
Yeah,
The whole up on the number of trees you can plant is who waters.
And
So,
it takes on the responsibility of
Right.
maintenance of the tree, yeah.
so we approve the planting and maintenance, planting, I mean, let's make it really clear, planting, watering and maintenance.
right,
Okay, so you wanna make a motion?
you probably could not put maintenance in because
Yeah.
that would be turning down the road.
Right.
You would have to
I think
approve,
it's more.
but planting and care watering of the tree, just so. Cause if you have to go water that tree, even though he planted it, that's one less,
That they can get on the city street.
right,
Yeah, they have limited ability to service all new plantings.
Okay, I'm drafting something so I can read it to you. Okay, it's a little wordy. Approve a permit to plant, water, and care for a tree at the applicant's expense, subject to consultation with the Tree Advisory Commission on the tree variety and an arborist to do the planting.
An arborist has to do the planting.
Well, I'm sorry,
I know that's according to our.
Or but let's say, and, the individual to do the planting. So it would be subject to consultation with TAC on the tree variety and the individual to do the planting.
Did you want to include care in that as,
It says approve a permit to plant, water and care.
does that include maintenance though?
Remove
No.
that.
Okay.
Because we don't want them pruning without coming back. TAC.
So you make a motion to approve the.
A
say that again,
permit
it's
to
an-
plant, water and care for a tree at the applicant's expense, subject to consultation with TAC on the tree variety and the individual to do the planting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Sounds great. I think that's a good course to kind of use as a model for planting requests.
I'll save this language.
I will know, I'll talk to Mr. Lorenz. about
Okay,
that.
good.
Okay.
Great.
That takes us to application number 2025-18, Jean Marie Kamak on 23rd West Third Street. She's looking to have this tree pruned or removed, and if removed, replaced.
Well, I went over to see that tree and that is a kind of a monstrous tree.
Yeah, I agree.
It's half dead and the part that's growing is growing toward the house, not otherwise. All of the growth seems to be around the wires. I would move that we approve the removal and replacement of that tree.
Sort of came to the same conclusion. Let's see if I could find.
It's a
my notes.
nice place for a tree, a good tree, but that tree is just not, that's not a good tree.
Question, I'm wondering at what point do we get an arborist involved or get a professional opinion on whether the tree could be
Norm's
saved?
an arborist, right, Norm? You're an arborist. Have you seen that tree?
And if we looked at that tree, we looked at Third Street.
I don't think we did. I think we were on East Third, but we didn't, this is West Third going down the hill. And actually, my notes from this weekend were that I thought the tree needed to be pruned. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong location. Let me get back to
We didn't do the,
I have the wrong note. Yeah, I have remove and replace was my recommendation or my initial reaction.
And I don't wanna hold things up now, it's just a question I'm asking about, when do we decide that we need to get a professional opinion?
So there's- I think that's coming up later, there's a new form. And
The problem with that is that could say that about every tree and,
Yeah,
so you can't really have, except for Norm, who's, God's gift, but can't really have an arborist involved. We don't have the money.
yeah, and right, and when you look at the health of the tree, the answers are some yes, some no.
Yeah. This one, I think, is pretty
Like
straightforward.
20 feet tall, branches intertwined with utility. Piers.
The next one, however, I'm not sure.
Street tree, this street tree appears to be diseased and is slowly dying. All the branches have already broken off, fallen off. So this is the guy. And it does, it all grows close to the house. More than towards the street.
right,
A tough one. Can you tell? Does it matter, red bud?
no,
It's not real old, right? It's not that-
I
no,
think the tree is young enough that it could be taken down by MSC or whoever it is that does it here for us, rather than bringing in like Bartlett.
Not me.
Did you see the picture?
I did not.
Sorry.
One thing that is minor technical problem is I don't get this.
You should get,
Applications that are coming up. So this is the first time I hear about it, so I don't get to look at the tree before this meeting.
yeah, no, we'll change that, I think, right? Ed?
Oh,
We can
absolutely.
change that?
I would think
Send
that
it
would be
to her.
advisable, I think.
So
We're asking Norm to make comments on
I mean, unless, have you all looked at it?
I have, and I recommended it's removal and replacement. As I said, I move that we we approve the removal and replacement of the tree at 23 West Third Street. No second?
Again, I'm hesitant to,
The city could do that,
So you could do that.
yeah.
but then that adds, again, we're
It's
looking at
another-
another tree to come up with.
Yes,
I mean, that's a request. It's not, I guess we could say, you know, would you be content to have the tree removed, but not have a replacement?
I talked to Jean Marie and I told her that if we removed it, it would be quite a while before we were able to replace it because it's a long list. So she won't be surprised that it's gone one day and not a new one the next.
But it sounds like she's prepared for that.
Yes.
Given that Norm didn't see the agenda before this meeting, and given that the tree is not a danger, would it be appropriate to table it next month, give Norm a chance to look at it? Or are you guys really convinced?
I'm
You have
not,
more
I'm
experience
willing
with the
to,
trees.
I move that we approve the removal and replacement.
Okay,
So if we don't want to vote, you know, we can vote for that. If it doesn't pass, that's fine. But
okay.
that's my motion.
I think I would make a motion that we table it until it's evaluated.
We have to vote on this motion first.
One motion
We don't
at
have a
time.
second.
No, but then you have to withdraw your motion.
Hmm?
Then,
You could withdraw it.
then it just fails. If there's no second, it fails. So if there's no second, that's fine, but,
Right.
okay, no second.
Does anybody want to second the motion to remove and replace?
No, not my motion. You're talking about your motion now, right?
No,
There's no second in my motion. There's no.
Yeah.
Do we have to second it? No, we don't have to vote on it. It didn't get a second.
Right.
okay, so with the other motion would be to table the application for further review. To see whether it is in fact diseased, which he says it's diseased, but we don't know that specifically.
I mean, it doesn't look healthy from the picture.
Mm.
I don't want to remove the tree just from a picture.
Yeah, I don't like to remove trees either, but anyway,
I would make a motion that we table the application for further review.
Second.
All in favor?
Fine.
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Okay. You want action taken today?
No, I mean, the motion to table passed. It just, you know, I'm not in favor of it, but
Okay.
I voted.
It passed because it's 2-3.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll table application 2025-18 and maybe Mr. Lear and I can take a look at it. Get professional opinion on that. That would be, I think that's where we stand. Right, Kathy?
Yes,
That's tabling 2025-18.
yes.
So moving along to 2025-19, 20 West Fifth Street, a removal request. That should be the next,
I don't really understand this one.
this
I
tree,
saw the tree. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And she says it's,
on the home and on the water line.
yeah, well, I don't,
Have
I don't know what
for
that means
utility
exactly.
pruners.
yeah.
Thanks.
And, yeah,
Front of home and water line, I don't. When you see, I went by and looked at it, and I didn't see anything wrong with it, I thought I was at the wrong address, maybe. I don't know.
I would think you need to once.
I looked at it, I thought if, my thought was to recommend or suggest as an alternative that it be pruned rather than
But
removed.
is she talking about the water line? Or
No,
is she
the
talking
reason
about-
for the request is it says half dead for utility pruners. That's the reason for removal request in the application. And it looks perfectly healthy to me.
Says dead per utility pruners. Sounds like utility pruners went by and said, oh, this tree is dead or something. I don't know what that means exactly.
I
What
might
is it?
guess that it's because they've removed the center of the tree for the wires.
Yeah,
Like they do all over the city.
Right.
That's how I'm interpreting.
She's saying what now?
The middle of the tree has been
They've-
removed per the wires that are in
The
there.
wires,
So she's
not
calling
the
that,
water line.
she's calling that dead.
Half dead.
Why is she saying on the water line?
I don't know.
She might think that feel that the roots are, near the water line. Near the sewer line or
It
the,
seems an odd phrase.
Yeah. Anyway, I did make a motion to deny the request, but nobody seconded it.
Oh, second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay, we'll notify Mrs. Marshasani that we denied her application. For, removal of the tree. Okay. Application 2025-20, 46 East Third Street, pruning request.
this tree, if this is the one I'm thinking of, I think it is, it's so close to the house. I don't know how you could trim it without, taking half the tree off. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, the house is, faces Third Street.
Yeah,
across
this is the
from
tree
Academy.
on Harmony, right?
Mhm.
But the tree is on Harmony, right?
The
address is-
tree is so big. And it almost lies against the house all the way up.
Well, not from the, root, from the stem, from the trunk.
Right,
These
but I
are-
mean,
these are
look,
branches.
there's lots and lots of branches.
There are a
that
lot of
That we're
branches.
talking about
They're up
there.
against the side of the house.
So I'm wondering what the tree will look like, but it's better than nothing, you know?
It's very intrusive to
It
their
is,
house.
it is, yeah. I can understand why I think they just moved in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's how South Street.
well, I move to approve the pruning of the tree at 46 West,
West Third, East Third.
East Third, 46 East Third Street.
But it's actually on Harmony. Yeah, I second the request. The motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so application 2025-20 has been approved for pruning. The next order of business is application 2025-21. Mr. Gutenplan, 35 West Fourth Street.
I also looked at this one, and there is at least one very large branch there that is dead. So, I don't know how much of a pruning they want, but I think we should at least agree to the pruning of that one branch that is dead on the tree. Beyond that, I don't know, if she's asking for pruning because of the wires or
No,
the house.
It says several dead branches.
Several dead branches, yeah. So I move that we approve the pruning of the dead branch from the tree at 35 West Fourth Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application 2025-21, approved for pruning. Sorry.
I have a question as we move to the section that says member comments discussion. How does a member get an item on the agenda?
Well, it's interesting, Linda, till now, we had the same agenda every month because nobody was inputting into it. So the only reason we had election of new chair and discussion of new system for recording pre-evaluations by commission was because I went over there and I said, could you add this to the agenda? Because before that, she was just doing the agenda, the same thing every month,
Strictly
with
based
the
on
difference of the
applications.
applications, right? So, I think that's, as the new chair, Ed, that's you, so maybe Linda, you ask Ed to
Okay.
get
And
that
I'm
on the
assuming like
agenda.
2 weeks in advance. You would need to know.
Yeah, I asked her, I asked Marika about adding the application that we discussed
Mhm.
first for Ms. O'Brien, and I was a little late It was the, last Monday. That was too late. Well, she said she would do it, but in the future, I would agree that it should be at least 2 weeks prior to her completing, preparing the,
And the
Agenda.
item should go to Marika.
I think, yes,
Okay,
she's the one who sends out this agenda.
okay. Yeah, I remember when I submitted the application for my own tree. I dropped it off. I thought it would be plenty of time, and they said, boy, you just got it in under the wire. There's nothing on the website that says, you know, how far in advance.
Yeah,
to
well,
submit.
you have to post it a week before the meeting, just by, so everybody knows that it's coming up. So it's prior to that, I guess. I don't know, was it close to the week before the meeting that you?
It was about 10 days before.
Oh, okay, well, I should have been okay, yeah.
But
Maybe
if-
like the
if it-
Friday
if
before.
Later, it would go to the following month.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, let me make a note, make sure we do that. Have all agenda items to Marika by 15th of the month, I would say. Okay. Member comments and discussion, part 3 of our agenda. Budget report.
I think we've done that
We've already
already,
heard that, right? Thank you, Alice. Discussion of the extended watering plan.
that's one of those things that shows up every month when you really don't need it,
Yeah.
actually.
I walk around and lift bags up as I'm walking, and it seems that the trees are being watered. That's my understanding.
Those trees that were poisoned have bags on them?
Yes,
Somebody dropped something in the bag, maybe. Make it easy,
It would.
yeah. Anyway,
I looked up those trees and it said in the Warren, Durr and Warren big book that those were the hardiest street tree recommended. And again, they were not in limited space, so it sure does. I mean, that's the tree they would recommend for cityscapes as being the hardiest, the most drought resistant. They seem to fit all the criteria. I know we're obviously well-researched choices.
Right. No, that and the Zelco City Spray are the 2 best. I mean, that's why when we looked at Delaware Street, those were the 2 that we thought would do best in that heat zone there.
So, I don't know. I guess that'll come up again. It's not really on the agenda, those 2 trees, so. But I think we should revisit that, the whole thing, as to whether how they're gonna be removed, if they're gonna be replaced. I know you recommended that we stay away from that
Does
temporarily.
the city insure their trees?
That's a good question.
I know that when the lady ran over the ammo anchor, it was determined that the tree committee could go after her to make her pay for it.
Yes,
But since this is an unknown assailant, I'm just wondering if the city has anything that, if it's an insurance policy to get reimbursement for it or not.
so Mil, if we agree to a pruning, are you now gonna let them know about that? Is that how it's gonna happen in
Yeah,
the
I can,
future?
yeah, I can
Okay.
let Public Works now.
Okay, cause last time I had to go over to the office and pass it along, so now you're gonna take care of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's minutes to go out after the meeting, correct?
yes.
Yes?
So they would be on there and then I could take that.
Yes.
To the, right.
Well, the minutes are the minutes approved? I mean, the minutes come up pretty quickly. They're not approved yet, but that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It does matter in the
No,
long
no,
run.
Kathy,
I understand.
I just don't know when they're put up on the
What I mean
website.
is, as far as the applications, will pretty much be right as soon as the minutes come out, right, Kat? How soon do the minutes come out?
I provide them pretty quickly, but I don't know how quickly they are posted. I don't think they get posted until they are approved. But I'm not 100% sure.
So they're not approved until the next.
Well, can you just make notes of what the ones that were approved then, or as we go along, maybe?
Well, that would be in the
Not you,
minutes.
Kathy, I mean, talk to Bill.
I mean, I can do that, but I mean, it's not been
Official.
sort of approved or anything.
Well, we approved the pruning of 315 Harmony Street. At 46 East Third Street and 35 West Fourth Street.
But I would suggest that that might be a question for Marika or the city administrator as to
Yeah,
when,
When they need to be notified.
yes.
I kind of think that might come from us, from the commission. So that, you know, these were the actions that were taken on these applications on July 7th at the meeting.
The actions, yes, but
Kind of
I'm,
short summary.
but the actions, yes, but I think that your question was different as far as, when the minutes are coming out.
When they're available to the
Well,
city administration.
the fella, who what was his name? I wanna say Floria, that's not right, but he would listen to the meeting and then he would pass it along. I think. That's the impression I got. I just don't want it to fall through the cracks. That's the only thing I'm worried about, you know?
We have the question of whether there's going to be database.
I know, but they won't be part of the works department won't be part of the database, though.
But they should have access to that.
They won't,
And that's how they would get their work order, I assume.
and the only way they need to be told, this is what we need to have done, rather for them to look it up, it's not gonna happen. I don't believe.
Okay.
It wouldn't happen if I were, the works department got plenty of other things to do. I just think that we have to tell them, here is the conclusion of our meeting, these are now on the pruning list.
I would recommend that I, as chairman, I could do that on a monthly basis following our meeting.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying don't do the database, I'm just saying that this is,
No, but I mean giving Marika an update as to what we decided today.
I went over to Marika and I said, so here's how do we doing this? And she said, well, you have to get a hold of Rick Delgado. How do we let them know that that we need to be pruning? And she said, you have to tell Rick Delgado about it.
Okay.
And I contacted Rick Delgado and he did say something about being in the minutes. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, he
But I-
needs to see it in the minutes.
But I didn't, it wasn't the official minutes because they hadn't been approved yet. So we got the unofficial minutes, I think from you, Kathy, was it? I'm not sure, but anyway, and I sent those to him and then that's why the Duck Hoglins already got their tree pruned. As much as unless they would prune it, you know.
I'm hearing two different issues here. One is, and something I've had on my notes as a thing to work on is a clearer flow chart for making decisions and conveying decisions, because I think officially our recommendations go to the city administrator, and she's the one who would make the decision and notify Rick. But she may have delegated that responsibility and we don't know that. But the second issue is, the minutes are not formally approved until the next meeting. And it could be that the minutes show that a printing request was approved, but then when we review them, people say, no, that isn't, it's very unlikely, but I can understand where perhaps no work should be done until the minutes are approved.
I agree with you. The thing is though, that in the past, this is not how it's been done. The gentleman who was the code enforcer would take the notes and he would take care of it after that. Also, I mean, when we approve something, the minutes don't have to come out before it actually becomes official. It's official as soon as we do it, right? So,
That's my question.
Yeah.
Is it official after the minutes are approved?
no, it's official as soon as we do it.
Yeah, when it goes into the record, when.
Then it becomes a
Kathy makes it
record,
part of
the record is official record, but it's official record of the thing that has been done. Not a certification of the thing, it's a record of the thing. So that's why I think that, we can get the work started without having the minutes okayed,
Okay.
or else we're another month behind, you know what I mean? I just don't wanna,
Yeah, if it fits Rick's agenda,
yeah,
they're working over here and there's another,
yeah.
I'm sure they,
I would suggest.
like you said, Mr. Del Coglins was addressed pretty quickly.
I think this is another thing to add when you meet with Antonina,
Mhm.
to find out how she
Okay.
would like the chain of communication to be.
I agree. I have sent, in the past, I've sent kind of a summary of our meeting when I acted as chair, unofficial, or temporarily acted as chair. I sent her copied, I think, Antonina, Marika, Diane, and Rick, maybe not Rick, on what we had, the list of tree stumps that are still outstanding. The list has been growing to now it's about 7 or 8. And I just included that in our report.
Have we,
On a monthly
have they
basis.
actually been done yet? I mean, I've got, that's
Nope. And that's what something I would ask
the other
Antonina
thing that, the,
when we meet is what, when are bids going to be sought for the grinding of 7 or 8 stumps?
it seems to me that the previous,
Code enforcement.
what's your job? I loved it. I loved it.
Depends on the
I
day
mean,
and time.
yeah, but the previous guy, whether it was not, it was in his, like, the list of his duties. He would take the list of the things that we wanted to get done and he would get them done. He would put out send out, for estimates and things like that, not Diane. So, and I remember, when the position was open for a long time. And then Diane, I think, took it over from that, but I'm not so sure I know that's not how it had been done in the past.
You're right.
So, it would be nice.
Like you said, if there should be some kind of flow chart or some kind of process, if there, I don't know if there has been one or there should be one, so we know
Yeah,
how that, like she said, how that.
yeah,
goes.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can do it, I just need something
just
in
need to-
writing on
What
what
you're
needs to
doing,
be
yeah,
done.
okay. All right, let me
It's not a
talk to
problem.
Diane and to Ron and see how that was done in the past, and then give you an idea of what we're talking about there. Because that was great, he would just take notes and then he would be gone, and next month he'd be, so here it is, right, Norm? Yeah. Anyway,
Well, like Linda mentioned, I think meeting with Antonina is important. It's
yeah,
upcoming, and
yeah,
I would pose that among a number of other questions
yeah.
as to how would you like to be notified of our or no,
No, not necessarily how would you like to be notified, is what do we do once we've approved a request? How do we get it done? Who
Or how
sends
do we
out,
make sure it gets done?
right, well, no, how do we get it to the appropriate people for estimates, et cetera, et cetera?
Remember when Ron brought this?
I
in?
do,
This was something that
that was the last thing on this list here, Ed, see where it says discussion of new organizational system for record keeping?
okay, so there we are.
Yeah,
Actually, we've kind of bypassed, but we already talked about this. This is item 3.
yeah, mhm.
Discussion of the new system for recording tree evaluations by
I think that's
commission.
great,
Yeah.
So we have that in place.
right,
We have the criteria, health, hazard, public nuisance, and a checklist. So this is kind of what I took that Ron presented initially and put it into more.
code
of a-
enforcer.
put-
Sorry.
So this is what the tree commission and our advisor arborist is going to use to assess new applications. So everybody on the tree commission is being asked to fill out one of these forms for each application. And then we would take those at the meeting and sort of summarize what we came up with. A little more paper trail than what we did today,
Yeah,
when we said, oh yeah, I went and solved this, and here's my recommendation. So we have actually only a couple of copies, but everybody's been given a copy of the form
Good job,
to
Ed.
make this
Yeah.
available.
Is it that much different?
It is a little different, yeah.
Right.
Just a little more easy to evaluate, I think. So that's item 3. So now we can jump down to item 4, the new organizational system. And I know Ron has spoken to Marika about this, and she said that she has been working on this type of, would you call it a spreadsheet?
I wonder, is that
manage.
something that's in the office that remains from, I assume that, it was done by,
Somebody in the city office.
oh my
Kim.
God, who?
Kim,
What was it?
But
I
it's
can't
from-
remember her name now.
Kim.
Huh?
Kim.
Kim, oh my God, how quickly we forget.
This was done in this was.
I wonder if it's around where she can just take a look at it and sort of continue from there. Yeah,
I have,
I'll-
I have, I have a proposal,
Yes,
and I have
I was so glad to hear
a
it.
visual aid. What you need to do with these sheets is lay them out side by side. It's a very wide. Wasn't sure how many copies to make. I see your guys produce this very much.
I only need one. I only need one.
This is for Ron. Ron might need this, right?
Here's what I've noticed already is I'm aware of at least 3 different lists regarding trees in town. There's, that 2021 tree work permit application log where maintenance of it fell out. Then Ron prepared recently a list of, trees and that have been planted and whether they're being watered or not. Then there's been talk about an inventory of trees, but just the recent, or maybe this is what it is. But when you have multiple lists, the thing that worries me is you start to get inaccurate, inconsistencies across lists. So I don't know modern database technologies, and this is just a spreadsheet, and maybe this would be enough. But, I thought if we could expand the 2021 to be something that includes a lot more data. The species and variety of the tree. The next couple of columns are what are on that 2021 list. But then also the date planted, if we know that, we wouldn't know it for older trees, but we would know it for the recent ones. And I even have, is it an actual date or an estimated date? If it's being watered, if it's being watered by the city or the owner or not being watered, what's the last date that it was pruned? If it was removed, when was it removed? If there was a stump, what date was the stump ground? A space for notes. Now, to
This would be,
illustrate-
this would be a database that we would have to keep, right?
Well,
This
what
would
we
not be
talked
Marika,
about-
because there are things here that are not the result of an application.
And yeah, some of them, if you look under applicant, it says tech plan.
Right, I know, but Marika is not generally notified of things that are not applications, approval or denied. And I'm not sure we should ask her that, to do that.
This is just a first shot at
Right.
it.
Yeah. Because what she's keeping a tab of our applications and their dispositions, I think, right, Ed, you say?
well, at one time, not real familiar, but.
Yeah, what I'm suggesting here is that this would, and that this would take time, but eventually this would grow into an inventory of all street trees.
I love this, I just think it's not the same thing as Marika would be
No.
telling.
Okay,
Do you
All right.
see this, Linda, as something that the commission maintains?
I have no idea. I don't know, but I'd certainly, I've done spreadsheets for a living, so I'd be happy to help maintain
I
this.
think it's a great
If somebody
idea,
gave me the data.
and it looks pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, what I
I
did just
like the idea of
illustrate,
everything in one place.
I took the first 3 items are from recent TAC minutes, and it's just, right around my house.
Mhm.
The next 3 were from Ron's watering list, and the last 3 were from that application lot, just so you could see how it would go.
So what do you,
Proposing is
yeah,
that we,
on this, it's not an inventory of trees,
Yeah, yes, it is.
but this isn't,
I mean, it's only filled out with
This
a,
inventory of those trees that are added, right?
well,
Or did you want us to build into this all the trees that we've planted in there?
eventually, and like it would include, sycamores on 6th Street.
well,
I'm skeptical that we need to put our inventory of trees in with our applications. I think maybe they should be two distinct things. If our applications result in the addition of a tree, then they would be in both, but I don't know that, I think this might be more complicated than we need to be.
And maybe we don't know, but, I'm thinking about Ron's separate list of which trees have tree bags. And I think that needs to be tracked somewhere and not just with Ron. I'm thinking about the agenda item about where are the Dutch elms and when were they last treated for Dutch elm disease? And there was a question about that. And that's something I didn't have here, but I
Maybe I'm just thinking the difference between plantings and prunings. You know what I mean? Like, this is a remove,
but there's a column on the second page for.
that's what I'm
landscape.
saying. So maybe this
Yeah.
is maybe, I don't know, it seems like a lot.
We have a lot of trees.
I know, but it seems like it's, I don't
It's a
know.
big project. If you're talking about these trees, this is a list of trees
Right.
that have been planted over the past 8 years
Right.
or possibly 10 years.
Yes,
Um,
and that's where I felt
that you think this is something that should be part of the,
I think
The whole
so, because
database.
otherwise, we have so many trees where, we're not sure what the variety is. We're not sure when it was planted.
Well, I agree with
We're
that.
not sure when it was treated for disease.
But I don't think then we need to put in there those trees that were pruned. I think that's a different situation. If this ends up to be what trees we have, how long they've been here, when they were planted and where they are, that's great, but I think request for pruning is probably gonna put too much into this.
And here's what I was thinking of, I have a neighbor across the street
Mhm.
who wanted his tree removed, and I think he came to TAC maybe 4 times until they kept denying it, and there was one today where it was an item from 2024, and I said, well, what was the action back then? We need that historical record of a tree has come before TAC 4 times.
Yeah, I think that's why we're talking about those records have not been kept up because, and things fall through the cracks. And I think if we had a searchable database, that would be better.
And I in
Is this
those
searchable?
spreadsheets, I don't know anything about what the city's capabilities are with
Yeah.
databases, and that would
Yeah.
require city help.
Yeah.
I could do this.
Yeah,
And yeah, I envision growing this slowly with the trees that we most need to know about. But a combination of trees planted in the last few years and trees that have come before TAC in the last few years.
Is,
well, my feeling is, we have to get Marika on what we're doing right now, and if we're gonna develop this, we've gotta develop it over time, I guess, to see how useful it is and how. I love the idea, I think a database is important though, because it has to be searchable.
Yeah.
Even, you've got here all the addresses and, that's great, but unless you can search an address to find out well, I guess you could find.
Yes,
You could, but,
yeah.
but,
And that's one thing with Ron's list of recent tree plantings. He will talk about one stretch and that there were 4 trees planted there. I'd really like to see him broken down by, what's the address of each tree in case one dies, we can separate that one out.
it's really complicated.
I
It's a
think,
lot of
a
trees.
lot of that
for
exists up to
treatment.
this.
Yeah.
this gives the location, the type of tree, the age, so when it was planted, whether it's on the watering list.
But for example, it says there from 130 to 212 Delaware, there were 7 Mesa Glows.
Mhm.
And it,
Planted last year,
but it doesn't say,
what the address.
and again, I'm a little,
It's
about
pretty-
the
it's
data
pretty
geek about
broad.
this. But I'd feel better if I knew what were the addresses of each of those Mesa Glows.
Yeah.
And then, because then if a couple of them die and it comes before us, then we have a clear,
Way to locate it.
yeah.
I agree with you. I think a total, database would be a great addition to managing.
I think it's too complicated
It
for,
would be. It
for
would be.
Marika to handle, and, I just think it's,
Yeah, I think. it
I
would be
mean, I
hard.
love it, but.
No, you're right, and we can't
We're thinking
assume.
about, you know, somebody who has other duties and,
Exactly.
you know,
Yep.
we want them to get it done and not to say, oh, that's so, I'll get to that later, you know, kind of thing.
Was it something we can maintain?
We would have to.
Once you've got the initial one set up, but, you know, there are several dozen tree actions each year. There are new trees that are planted. And then there are actions, you know, it looks like several dozen actions taken each year at TAC.
And also, if Marika were taking care of it, we would have to notify her of every tree planted and when it was planted and all that, which is an additional burden on her, which I don't know if she'd be too thrilled about. But,
No, right, it's not our position, our place to say that this is what you should do.
well, I do think that we should start with her, it did, from Ron's emails, it sounded to me like she wasn't that thrilled about doing this part. I mean, did you get an impression that she was working on it? Cause it
I
sounded
got the
like she was,
impression she was something that was ongoing.
oh, cause I got the impression she was a little,
I got the impression that she was not comfortable with Ron. I think she needed to hear
Yeah,
from somebody at
yeah.
TAC.
yeah, maybe that's it, yeah. But she was okay with the organization part of it, do you think? Cause, I don't know why,
I'm not real clear, but it sounded to me from Ron that she was working on a list based on what had been, something along the lines of what had existed before that he shared with us, this
the
21.
number one thing we need right now is
And that's what Ron
to
was
know
trying
what
to
the
get.
disposition of every application is, right?
Yeah.
That's the number one thing we need right now. So, you know, cause we have applications, like, what was that poor woman from 2023 or something came in here? Have anybody, you know, looked into my application recently?
I made a list of all the applications from 2024, from June of 24 through December of 24, and then all the applications for 2025. And I determined, the best of my determination was all the 2024 applications had been acted on, had been resolved, with the exception of stumps being ground. And
With the
most
exception of
the-
these two here, though, 9 and 19?
let's see what I had for 19. That's Dolby Alley, 16 Dolby Alley.
We just tabled that today, we just denied that today,
Right, and we did previously.
we did. What about,
Same
so how
thing.
did it get up
It
here?
said, was put on, it was, that's when Art said it was on trust property. And we notified the owner, the homeowner, and told him that.
Did we not actually make
was
a judgment on it?
Oh,
We denied it?
We denied it.
I wonder why it showed up on here. And then, Patty O'Brien, 2409.
Now, that one just sort of fell through the cracks. I don't think we ever addressed that. Although I wasn't on commission then.
But you're saying on your list, everyone was addressed?
With the exception of a couple I couldn't locate. 2020, well, 24, like -21 and 22. I have no idea what they were.
So I would propose that every month, anything that hasn't been approved or denied or tabled, or not tabled, everything that's tabled should be on here too. Everything that hasn't been disposed of in one way or another should always end up in old business. So that we don't lose it through the cracks, right? Isn't that true? No?
Absolutely, and
Until the stump's gone.
Yeah.
It stays as an open,
Yeah,
as an old.
anything that's
Application.
open should be, every month we should look at it again for whatever reason it's still open. I don't know why it would be. So that these things like that poor woman, you know, Mary, is that her name?
Walsh.
Walsh,
Yeah.
and it was Irish. That
That's gonna be a lot of issues though.
Huh?
That's gonna be the majority of the applications for, 6 months. Are gonna keep reappearing. Because
yeah,
it takes the city
Well,
that
they don't-
long to.
But then they don't fall through the cracks.
right.
They get addressed, even if it's to table them once again while we're still doing some research or something. So people know we're not just ignoring them, you know? I think that's what we should be doing.
One place I worked, that something they used a lot in, as an action was return to agenda. So anything
There
that's
you go.
tabled and returned to.
There you go, exactly. Mhm.
August agenda. And if it's something that'll take some time, return to the September agenda, so it doesn't
Yeah.
appear needlessly.
Okay. So let's need to talk to Antonino about whether we can start that. procedure,
Yeah, I'm thinking,
return to agenda.
you know, scrap that idea for now and focus on getting that 2021 chart updated only to look at actions.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I think this is a great idea, and I think, the purpose of it should probably be have a real idea of what our trees are, where they are, what actions have been taken about the trees, rather than whether the applications, which I think that's what that is. You know, what is our disposition of the applications, which I think is number one right now, we have. to-
Yeah, and I agree, so we
Okay.
can focus on that.
Yeah.
Once that's up and running, then we can talk about what would be useful to add to our inventory.
Exactly, and I think this is a good basis of it, you know, God bless you and your organizational skills.
I think this helps. Here, those are important, piece for us.
Okay, well, we'll put it on a back burner for now.
Okay. Are there any other comments tonight from attendees? Any agenda items or discussion, anything anybody wants to bring
So
up?
can I ask, I'm gonna be talking to, Antonina about the budget, is that right? And then, or is that? Yeah, and the legal question of the trees on Sixth Street. For Del Dot, right? Or are you gonna be talking to her about the budget?
I'll talk to her. Well, I'm gonna ask her if we can meet just in general. And I'm gonna send you guys an email. And Art and
Well, we
Well,
can't all
God.
meet with her, because that would be a meeting.
well, ask you for your input as to what things I should
Okay.
discuss with her.
Well, if the two of you meet with
No,
Antonina.
yeah, it wouldn't be a meeting, but,
Right.
you know, if everybody's gonna.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, sure,
Another commission member were involved in meeting with Antonina.
absolutely.
And I think we could resolve a lot of questions
We'll
Procedural
discuss the
questions.
budget too, you
Yeah,
know, that's my
at the
thing.
same time.
Okay.
Okay, if there are no further comments,
I got a comment. There's a
agree.
tree at 220 that's been sitting there since March, the red bud tree. Not too sure if it was donated or
It's been where, I'm sorry?
the 220 Delaware Street. It's inside the building. It's been
Is it- Is it to be placed?
Inside the building.
Is it still alive?
It's still alive.
Wow,
Not
Oh.
too sure who, what, where. I didn't know if anybody knows.
I think that was, there's some National Arbor Day Foundation. Somebody always donates the city a tree,
Okay.
donates tree to the city. And
we put it in the library?
No, the city office.
The city offices,
I think Mr. Driven said it's in the.
It's inside, yeah.
It's in the old bank building.
we never planted that?
I know anything about it.
It's not big. It's
I
not,
know, but still,
Yeah,
it's
Is it-
to
is-
be planted.
In a pot?
yes.
No, typically we plant those on like plots of like parks and stuff, right? I mean, you know,
the last one went to the farm.
Hmm?
The last one went out to the farm.
oh, it did? Oh, well, maybe we should bring it out to the farm then, till it's.
How big is the container, would you say?
12-inch.
Yeah, it's like a 2 or 3 gallon.
So it hasn't
It's
become
okay.
like a favorite of the.
It is, they
They have that?
decorated, you know, every holiday, they put, you know,
So
some angle things on it.
What are you
You
keeping?
know,
It sounds like you all love it. You should keep it.
eventually, it's gonna outgrow its own.
Oh, okay. That's reasonable.
We had our picture taken, everything in front of that thing, when it was delivered.
Yeah.
Months ago. Months and months and months
Yeah.
ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
does it make sense to put it out at the farm?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like it should be done, right, Art Norm? If the other one, is the other one?
It's not, you can't plant it on the street.
No,
Yeah.
no, I know that, no, it's not big enough,
Yeah, you can put it in a park possibly, but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's not big enough.
Country? No.
I thought somebody said it was a red bud. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it says on the pot.
Could somebody from, somebody, the city with a truck move it out to the farm?
Sure,
Um,
that's where you want it.
how tall is it?
3
How about
feet.
you, Bill? Would you
3
like to move it out to the farm?
I mean, I
Bill,
can move
you
it,
want a
I can
tree?
move it out there, but I mean, it needs to be a handoff.
Right.
Needs somebody know that it's coming and have a hole ready or whatever it takes. You know, I don't know if there's a spot to pick and is there a specific kind of soil mixture or anything or But somebody, it needs to be some kind of, I can take it there, but then it may be like it is at 220, it may sit there for months. So, I mean, again, I don't have a problem taking it there, it just needs some kind of handoff.
Ron Volkovich is our advisor and he and Norman are knowers of all things regarding trees. So I think he would be the person to give, to be the recipient, to hand it off to, get it planted and eventually figure
Yeah,
out.
because he does take care of the trees out
Okay,
there. Or
it
has-
just needs to be notified
I'll
of
tell
what's
him,
going on.
I'll tell him.
Okay, and eventually he may have a recommendation on where it might be planted once it gets moved off Penn Farm. When it's ready, when it's grown up.
It's not the approved cultivar,
Not for street side trees, but
right?
maybe he can recommend some other home on city property.
Like there were a lot of trees planted down by the wildflower gardens all along Route 9.
I'll tell him, I'm surprised, he probably knows about it, but I'll tell him and then ask him to contact you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind handing it off, but I want to see it set for another 4 or 5 months somewhere.
Well,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and Christmas aren't that far off. I don't know if you can do much for
We
Halloween.
don't want anything to decorate anymore, but I mean, they'll be all right.
The fact it's still alive is a wonderful thing.
I made a note, Mr. Lear, that you would address that with Mr. Vukovic.
Okay, so I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Now that the budget is split for planting and it was mentioned about getting a planting committee.
Right.
What's our budget for planting?
Is there any movement on getting a committee to form this committee, this planting committee?
Yeah, it's in the
Planting
minutes.
committee.
It is in the minutes of last month. I agreed, I brought up the issue at Mr. Vukovic's suggestion, and I volunteered to be on the committee. And we've talked about ordering.
I don't think you can have more than 2 people on that committee or else it's a real committee meeting and then it has to be,
Well, the other, it's Ron and I are none.
yeah.
So, I mean, when it was brought up, we were looking for a second committee member.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should talk, maybe we could talk to, I mean, it sounds like everybody here, Scott,
It wasn't Walcott who was interested in it, wasn't he?
talk to Art or Walcott, I could do that.
I think he said that he just had to worry about,
No, that was the inventory of existing trees.
oh,
Which we started.
We did start.
I have a list.
And
That was the third thing that, when a source that I was worried about 3 different lists that might not match.
right, yeah.
So I'm on the tree acquisition subcommittee. And we have actually made a determination. We've actually placed an order for trees for the fall.
Great.
We ordered,
How much was the bottom line?
we don't know what they cost.
Oh.
We don't care. We have plenty of money. We have plenty of money.
just increased the budget, right?
But we're ordering 21 trees
Great.
and for fall. City sprites, pink flares, firebursts. Lolazam?
No, those are
Oh, those
not
Caladiums.
a street.
Anyway, the intention is to plant along Delaware Street from 6th to 7th. Along the wall of the condominiums, I think they're called Cherry Street condominium complex. There's a brick wall,
Yeah,
also in front of the armory,
yes.
and then, well, turn around, go in the opposite direction, back
And
towards Delaware Street.
a good entrance to the city, is that what
Yes.
you're thinking?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, those would all be the same, I think, city
Mhm.
spray trees, up to 10, possibly 10 trees along there. That would be the focus for the fall. So the order's been placed.
Great.
That's some of the action of the subcommittee. And
Are we
so,
gonna be able to do anything for those people that we've agreed to plant a tree in front of their houses?
yeah, there are some other addresses that,
Okay,
that would be considered. I don't have those
all right,
exactly right
okay.
now. But I'll approach, Art or Walcott about being on that
That's
subcommittee.
what, I thought that's what he said he would, but I think you're
No.
right, it was something else, you're right,
It was
you're right, it
the
was.
existing tree inventory.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know what's up with Art. Unfortunately, he's had a bad, period. Which is why he's not here tonight, but I think that would be something he would be interested in. I'll talk to him about that.
Okay.
Does that address the subcommittee well enough for tonight?
Yep. I didn't want you to have to do it all.
Okay, with that, I think I want to make a motion that we adjourn the July meeting.
I move that we adjourn the July meeting.
Anybody second the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Chair.